Do you think there will be another time for individuals to finance their way into a solid real estate portfolio? I've been patiently waiting to buy back in. Sure. Real estate's cyclical and it mean reverts. So it'll mean revert back to where we were in 2012. Maybe not in nominal terms, but in real terms. Well, I shouldn't say it will. The probability is extremely, extremely high. So I sent out a tweet today, just kind of refuting someone that was trying to throw me under the bus for things they had no clue what they were talking about. And people were asking me about, hey, would you, because I mentioned that I'd sold all my United States real estate back in, I can't remember, it was 2018 or 2019 when I sold my last property, but it was right around then. So people asked me, oh, George, would you ever go back in? Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I would love to go back in and buy some US real estate. I might not buy it on margin. I might not use 30 or 50. I don't know. Because back in 2012, I bought everything in cash and I tried to take out a line of credit, which was almost impossible. And then I was thinking about doing a long-term deal, 30-year fixed, which I think was very smart. Never pulled the trigger on it for a variety of different reasons. But the bottom line is if prices in the United States went back to where they were in 2012 in real terms, a lot of people say, oh, George, that's never going to happen. You're crazy. Prices are never going back down that far. Okay, in real terms, guys, we could have nominal prices stay flat. If we have inflation, let's say 5%, 8%, just compound that after 4 or 5 years, guess what? You're real darn close to where we were in 2012. So if that happens, or when, sure, it will happen sometime. Listen, I'm going to be chomping at the bit, and I'll obviously share that with you guys. Just like, people call me a perma bear all the time. And I think they have a valid point, because most of what I do on my channel is pointing out some of the cracks in the system, which I think is an important role, because there's so many cheerleaders like CNBC and Jim Cramer out there that are just always saying buy, 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 buy. So I think for there to be a YouTube channel that has a contrasting view, I think that's helpful. I think that's beneficial. But I don't make this stuff up. I mean, I just call it the way I see it. I'm not making videos saying, hey, there's this big flaw in the system just because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's going to get a lot of views. No, this is I just an insider secret. I make how I choose my video topics is just simply what I'm thinking about at the time. It's just what I'm thinking about in my head. So if I make a video on the bullwhip effect, that's because over the weekend or whatever, I was thinking about, hey, how does the bullwhip effect impact the economy? What's going on there? Or the other day I did a whiteboard video on the car market, like Carmageddon, if you want to call it that. And why? I didn't sit there and do all this research and say, oh my gosh, this is trending on Google, I'm going to go ahead and no, it's just I listened to a podcast that weekend when I was out at the golf course on Wealthion, my good buddy Adam Taggart, where he interviewed this car guy. And I'm like, wow, they've got some fantastic points. So I started thinking about that, pulling up charts. Like, hey, I'm going to do a whiteboard video on this. So anyway, that's kind of the genesis of most of those whiteboard videos. So my point is, a lot of times people call me a perma bear, but if you go back to like the cerveza sickness, you'll see that I switched in March or April of 2020. Go back when you get a little time and watch some of those videos, and you'll see me say, whoa, things are actually getting pretty cheap here. In fact, I'm going to set up a watch list and I might start buying this. In fact, I remember vividly in one of the steps, I can't remember what the video's name was, but in one of the steps, I went over how Carnival Cruise Line, and this is before Portnoy, Carnival Cruise Line, I was like, wow, this is like insanely cheap. I said, this might be interesting. I might put this on a watch list. And that's when I was talking about oil, and I was talking about coal and uranium and a lot of these things on the buy side, not like, oh my gosh, this is in a bubble. This is in a bubble. So why? Because that's what I was thinking about at that time. It's just things are rarely cheap. And if things are expensive, a lot more than they're cheap, I'm going to be talking about things how expensive a lot more often. So just some insider info there. But yeah, bottom line is if they went back and if I could get them cheap, I'd love to buy some more rental properties in the United States.